Ladies and gentlemen, we're here.
I'm part of the Kliq, isn't everybody?
Yes! 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 I got an idea, yeah. Beat up John Cena!
Give me a hell yeah!
Oh, a little bit of the bubbly.
Too sweet! Here goes the mother! This is where the power lies!
I am the man.
We need if we can survive!
It's showtime, folks!
The following episode is scheduled for one fall, and it is for your listening pleasure. This is In The Kliq.
What's up, everybody? Baby Huey here, and joining me once again is my brother, Tommy. How's it going, Tommy?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
And joining us virtually is our good brother from Pro Wrestling 101 on Instagram. It's Richard. How's it going, man?
Oh, you know.
Oh, you didn't know? Your ass better call somebody.
My ass better get some sleep.
I know, man. I feel bad for you. You look a little tired right now. The working man
Always
that you
tired.
are. Should cue up the Rush. Rush is your new theme song, Working Man.
I was thinking of Dusty Rhodes' theme. He's just a working man.
You can cut a promo. Hot times, baby. Hot times.
They give you a watch, kick you to the curb, or something like that.
Well, we appreciate you jumping on for another episode of In The Kliq, and a reminder to all the Kliqsters out there, subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, whatever you listen to your podcasts on, inthekliq@gmail.com. Follow us Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and buy the merch over at Teespring. Richard, you saw before we hit the record button, our lovely dad wearing his In The Kliq shirt. So I think we should get a photo of him, put that on social media, and he can be the model for us.
There you go.
Rick Martel.
That's our target demographic.
Oh, now he's coming. We're actually recording now. Our dad's walking in.
That's good radio.
So that's the pros of working from home during a pandemic is you get all family members who could possibly I was gonna say audio bomb your podcast.
Yeah.
So but no, shout out to all the Kliqsters who've been buying the merch. Shout out to our boy Alex from TNA podcast
Or drinks or
TNA Drinks. Yes, that's right. He bought a shirt.
Yeah.
Also, Cindy G over at No DQ, and also the Bullet Cast. She bought a shirt. Chris as well. So a lot
What
of
up,
people.
Chris?
Yeah, so a lot of people have been buying merch already. So shout out to all of them.
I'm just curious as to why Cindy only bought one shirt. You know,
Why you think she should buy more?
I thought she supported this podcast and she only bought one shirt.
She needs to buy I was thinking we probably should get maybe some more designs going too. So maybe we could put a little contest or something out there, or solicit someone to make some alternative logos or designs for us. That we get more T-shirt designs out there going. So, because if you buy one shirt, you gotta get them to buy more. So we gotta make up more designs. So anyway, something we could powwow. Maybe do something special for WrestleMania or something. So food for thought there. But yeah, a lot of stuff to talk about this week in pro wrestling. First things first. So yesterday was the big game. The Super Bowl happened, and I know for my brother.
A lot of home runs, right?
Exactly, home runs and
Grand Slam.
three point shots made, and
Big fan of those. Big fan.
yeah, and
knockout victory.
Exactly. So the game itself took place in Tampa Bay, and was it Raymond James Stadium in Tampa Bay, Florida, and which also is going to be the home of WrestleMania in less than 2 months now.
Yep.
So I know the funny thing on Twitter was a lot of people who were watching the game, who were also wrestling fans, were really commenting at just watching how the NFL were executing the setup for the Super Bowl as far as the setting goes inside the stadium, and can that be like a preview of how maybe WWE wants to set up everything for WrestleMania this year? And so Tommy and I were watching closely, and so the big takeaway was, so they had about, I think, 25,000 fans in attendance, and they had what I think it was 30,000 cardboard cutouts in attendance as well. So,
and everything was spread out.
Yeah, so people were sitting in pods. So
right.
if you and your family or party, however, came in together, you would sit in a row of seats, and then there was a bunch of rows, or excuse me, chairs filled with cardboard cutouts, and then the next set of people. So in some ways, those cardboard cutouts were kind of being used as a way to keep people socially distanced from one another. So I thought that was kind of cool. But no, Tommy, you and I were watching on TV.
Yeah.
We both agree, from a distance, I know the camera.
It looked pretty packed.
Yeah, I mean, the camera is obviously, wide out and trying to capture everything on the field.
Creates that illusion.
Yeah, but in the background, I thought the way the stadium looked, it looked pretty filled. I mean, the comparison was a lot of people thought it looked like a video game.
Yeah.
Where it's kind of like a blur a little bit. You can't really see everyone.
Like Tecmo Bowl.
But at least it looked better than empty seats per se. And so I think a lot of people were questioning, well, okay, if WWE is going to have fans in attendance for WrestleMania, how's it going to look? And so I think what the NFL did, WWE could totally piggyback off and use that. And so there was a couple of tweets sent out from WrestleVotes, which is known for a lot of just wrestling news and stuff. They tweeted out the other day, with the Super Bowl tonight at Raymond James Stadium, home of WrestleMania 37, in 9 weeks, so far WWE has been against the idea of filling the empty seats with cutouts as the NFL has done. I assume that decision will be discussed again now as the stadium looks great. Hashtag Super Bowl. And then they sent up a follow-up tweet. Good news, text from a source just now saying WWE will 100% discuss having the cutouts again. Says, quote, it's beyond dumb to not. Raymond James Stadium looks wonderful for what it was. End of quote. So I think WWE obviously watched the game, saw it looks great. And so I would not be surprised. Yeah, they're going to go with that same routine as far as, group of fans and some seats. Then fill up a bunch of seats with cardboard cutouts, then actual live human bodies, then cardboard cutouts, and then spread it all throughout the stadium. Obviously, the difference is there's going to be no football field, just the ring. And so you got to fill up the seats on the floor.
Lower reserve.
So, I mean, for WWE, the camera shots are going to be closer, focusing on the ring. So it's going to be interesting. You'll probably have a better shot of seeing actual cardboard cutouts up close. So, no, Richard, I mean, I know you didn't watch the game per se, but just kind of your thoughts as a fan watching from home. Are you for this idea of like human body, cardboard cutout, human body, cardboard cutout?
Yeah, I've watched plenty of TNA.
Wow.
Drum roll.
The later years, right? The when Dixie Carter got involved, right?
Yeah.
Reasonable.
If you go back and watch, there's a period of time where they're actually selling out arenas like a Raw or a SmackDown would.
Yeah.
And then like within a year, it's like they're just putting all the fans in attendance on the hard camera side.
Yeah.
Dude, on a side note, so on Access TV when I watch like Impact Wrestling, after the actual live show is done, then they do what's called like Impact 60, and it's an hour of just old highlights from old TNA shows. God, watching some of those old matches of Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, Kurt Angle.
Yeah, I've watched them too.
From like 10, 15 years ago, how hot that crowd was.
Yeah.
19 years ago almost.
I mean, right?
19 years ago, yeah.
No, but watching that, I'm like, God damn. I mean, that is like, reminds me of like NXT, like, or NXT definitely kind of, I think, try to copy that same feel, that vibe.
Yeah.
So, just looking back on it now, TNA really had something special back in the day.
They did.
Yep.
It was like in the Ring of Honor as well, too.
I mean, I know there's a separate conversation, but I know there's a lot of people comparing what's better, TNA in their prime or NXT in their prime. And so, I mean, that's a separate, we can have a separate
We can have another debate about that.
But that's, anyway, seeing that, just watching those old TNA shows, I'm like, whoa.
The Asylum days of TNA were better than NXT's ever been.
I can't dispute that. No.
Okay. So, yeah, no, great discussion. We'll save that for another time. But I'm with you. I'm for that. I think the pros is, like I said, if you have like the cardboard cutouts in the seats, then it prevents people from like moving over and sitting in another section. You got to sit in your required specific assigned seats.
Yeah.
So hopefully maintain social distancing.
At the end of the day, WWE always does these things better than anybody else. Look at the Thunderdome compared to what everyone else was doing.
Right.
Like baseball had the cutouts before anybody, right?
Right. Yes. I was going to touch on that. Yeah.
WWE got the fans involved, did not charge them for it. There's Danny as a cutout. My God.
I have a cardboard cutout.
Right there. It was there
Send
at
your
Oracle
hate
Park.
tweets. Send your hate tweets to Baby Huey 83.
Damn it.
Wonderful.
You know, I would not be surprised whatsoever if they take things even a step further. You know, I don't know what they can do. It wouldn't surprise me to have a screen there.
Put lights around them. Yeah, they could probably have screens around. Ooh, maybe screens on the floor, since
6
that's what
feet.
the camera is going to be closer to.
No, I'm thinking more like if you have to be 6 feet apart from someone, you'd have 6 feet apart, but with screens.
Ooh, or how about a person sitting there, a live body, then a screen, and then another live body, and then a screen on the floor area.
I think they should have mannequins holding up signs so the people that are there can't see.
That would be cool. I would like
It's
that.
always funny to me when I posted something recently on my page of it was like a crowd shot from WCW, and people were like, "Man, look at the signs. Those were the days." And I'm like, in my head, I'm thinking, you never went to any of those shows because those were the worst days. Like you would buy these great seats and then be blinded for like 60% of the show by signs.
Yeah,
because some little kid wanted to have a big sign that said.
So like, don't complain about people holding up their cell phones because that's tiny.
Because someone's want to hold up a sign that said what NWO for life or something.
Yeah.
There's a Twitter site. It's about the old. It's all these signs that whoever they post on Twitter. It's during the Attitude Era, and some of the stuff is hilarious. These signs these fans brought.
Hulk Hogan fears Howard Stern.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was a good one.
So I'm for this. I'm sure, as you said, Richard, WWE could be creative, and maybe for the actual floor area where they know the camera is going to be closer. Maybe the site of a bunch of cardboard cutouts. Maybe, that's where they'll put the video screens in some way, and they'll creatively kind of position it so you can see more like live body / people on a video screen. So it's like all movable body parts down there, and then maybe up high where it's a little more blurry and distant from the camera. You can fill up with the cardboard cutouts. So I think it'd be good. And then I think some people were kind of complaining, I guess, sure, in the seats, everyone was spread out, but I guess at the concession stands, everyone was a little bit too close there. So hopefully they'll have better protocol come WrestleMania. My only concern is obviously people in Tampa Bay were celebrating last night for the Buccaneers' big win. So hopefully it wasn't like a big super spreader event afterwards last night. But hey, you still got 8-9 weeks from now, so hopefully they'll get everything in order, and it should be good. Nonetheless, I'm excited. Like we are on the road to WrestleMania, so I'm sure WWE is scrambling to kind of come up with something very cool visually for us to look at. So all for that. All right, moving on over to, unfortunately, some sad news. It was reported at the end of the week that former WWE / WCW, also what other? Let's see, NWA. This guy, it was all over the place. Butch Reed passed away at the age of 66 years old.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, due to heart complications, he had I think 2 or 3 heart attacks in the last few weeks.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, he passed away. Man, just listen, for Tommy and I, even for you, Richard, he was a little before our time as far as his prime years probably.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, he definitely had a big impact in the wrestling world. So, Richard, just kind of your thoughts on just hearing the news of him passing.
I was more shocked about his age. He was 66. I was just kind of like, what? I thought he is maybe closer to 60, late 50s. I don't know. Everyone's getting older now, and it's getting weird.
Yeah, I looked it up. I didn't realize Ron Simmons, his old tag team partner from Doom, was only 62. So I didn't know he was 4 years older than him. I thought they were kind of around the same age.
Yeah.
But yeah, just he's from Kansas City, Missouri. WWE put like a whole article about him on their website.
Yeah.
I didn't know he played football for the Kansas City Chiefs. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And after that, he moved on to Mid-South Wrestling and had matches with Ric Flair, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Jim Neidhart, and
he was also great in the Florida territory for Eddie Graham as well.
And yeah, he bounced around as a babyface and heel in the various promotions.
Yeah.
When he came to WWE, he had the big blonde hair. That he was called the Natural Butch Reed. Had a big win over Coco Beware at WrestleMania 3. And then he was only with WWE or F at the time for like a little over a year. Then he switched over to WCW.
Yeah.
And formed the tag team Doom with Ron Simmons, with Teddy Long as their manager. That's probably where I think most people knew him, or he
but
really
then
stood out.
Woman also managed them too as well, I believe.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Nancy Sullivan.
And then even when Doom broke up, Ron Simmons and Butch Reed had a big rivalry into a cage match at the first Super Brawl as well.
Yeah.
So no, he definitely has a big history. And then I think by like 92, he was gone from WCW, and he did like the indie stuff from that point on. But
was he ever in ECW?
I don't know.
No, he was not.
No.
Ron Simmons was.
Yes, I know Ron Simmons was, yeah.
But yeah, I was always kind of surprised he never like bounced into like another promotion after that. He kind of kept it more on the indie scene. So very interesting for that. And then he was last time at WWE was what, 07? He did he was in the Teddy Long segment. He made an appearance there. I think it was I might be off on the year, but he did make one appearance years ago. But no, just very sad to hear. Our condolences go out to his family and friends. I know he did tweet it out, or it was put out there that he was a big fan of Will Hobbs right now, who's over in AEW. Powerhouse Will Hobbs, Bay Area guy. So I guess he sees a lot of resemblance in him, so that's very cool. But one last thing, did you guys know that he had a chance to win the Intercontinental Championship back in that first year he was with WWF or WWE?
No.
I have heard that.
Yeah, so long story short was Ricky Steamboat at the time wanted time off to go see the birth of his son, and I guess Vince and whoever were upset, so they were going to take the title off him, and they picked Butch Reed to be the one to do it. But Butch Reed no-show on the show that they were going to do it at, and I guess Hogan and Vince were walking the hall and saw Honky Tonk Man, who was just kind of jobbing out and losing a bunch of matches. They saw him and like, hey, how about we put it on him? So just total luck. Honky Tonk Man was there. He won the Intercontinental Championship and went on, his big legendary run. And so, yeah, it was just kind of, hearing that, it's like, man, how awesome would it be to see Butch Reed as Intercontinental Champion back in the day? But just like, what if, man, just the day you don't show up to work and you miss out your big opportunity. So that kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah, and I know there's been a lot of disputes like, oh, well, Butch Reed was there. Can you see the video of Honky Tonk Man celebrating the locker room, the heels locker room, and he was seen back there, but Honky Tonk said, well, that was filmed a different night. So legend has it. It's all legend at this point, but nonetheless, R.I.P. the Butch Reed. And, all right, a couple of other things I want to touch on real quick. So a couple releases in WWE happened last week as well that got a lot of people talking. The first one was Lars Sullivan. I don't know about you, Richard. I was not completely surprised about this, but apparently this was done very quietly last month. But, yeah, your thoughts on Lars Sullivan finally being released from WWE?
Well, it sucks. The guy had in-ring talent. That's the biggest thing that sucks. But at the same time, so many issues, so many rumors. It's hard to tell what's real, what's not. Some controversies, and the stage fright thing, which I've never heard with anyone before. So it's one of those things where that's one of those rumor things that's so out there. I kind of have to believe it.
Yeah,
because I've never heard that someone was afraid to perform like that. It's just okay.
Yeah, it's unfortunate in the last couple years since he's been called up from NXT to the main roster. Yeah, he's been just kind of a very, I don't know if tortured is too strong of a word, but he's just had a lot of unfortunate issues in the last couple years.
Especially anxiety.
Yeah, when he first got called up, it was supposedly going to be in a big program with John Cena and then later with Brock Lesnar, but he no-showed on that episode of Raw, and so they pulled it, and that's when he was gone from TV for a while. Then when he came back, he had like that really bad knee injury. I want to say, was it mid 2019. He was gone well over a year, and he came back this past fall. I want to say October 2020. So it was over a year that he was out recovering from that knee injury. Yeah. And then even they came back and had those couple sit-down interviews with Michael Cole that were okay. And we talked about it before, but and then he was off TV again. I guess he just had the anxiety issues. It was tough for him to go perform on TV. I know,
even in front of nobody.
Yeah, even last year, I guess his father also passed away, so I think that just weighed on him. So it's just unfortunate. I know there's a lot, as you mentioned, a lot of negative issues around him as well with the message board stuff that he did a couple years ago, way before he signed with WWE. So the guy's, had a troubled past, and I just hope that he can find, some help and get better. And he told WWE privately he's just done with wrestling. He wants to step away. So, and apparently he said in a recent response to Fightful, he said WWE was very compassionate, handled this very professionally and privately, and that's why it was like secretly or privately released last month, and we're just finding out about it now. So he was surprised WWE didn't put anything out like on social media on their website, but it sounds like they were very respectful of his situation. So give kudos to WWE for, I guess, helping him. And yeah, I mean, like I said, I hope the guy gets better. I don't know what he's going to do next now outside of wrestling, but yeah, I mean, we've seen him, obviously in NXT in person. We like the old school monster look to him. I mean, one of his best performances was that ladder match for NXT TakeOver New Orleans when he was with one of the 6 guys in that match.
For the North American title?
Yeah. That was a great match. And, he had the great matches with Keith Lee.
Oh, yeah. That was great. When we saw him wrestle, it was against Keith Lee.
Yeah. So, Richard, I mean, it's just kind of unfortunate what he could have done as like maybe a big monster for WWE. But the problem was on SmackDown, you have Roman Reigns already being the big bad, heel. So I don't know where they could have done with him. So it's
especially now seeing because we like you said, we saw Lars and Keith in person, and look at where Keith Lee's going right now. So just kind of imagine where Lars could have been.
Yeah, I know. So our thoughts are with Lars, and hopefully he gets better and just moves on with his life for the better. Also, it was announced that Steve Cutler, one half of, I guess, well, he was 1/3 of the Forgotten Sons in NXT and briefly on SmackDown, but also one of the knights of
Baron
Corbin's stable.
King Corbin, yeah.
So he was released as well. He tweeted out the other day, quote, "Unfortunately, today I was released. It was shocking to say the least, but I'm excited about the future and all possibilities in front of me. Thanks for your continued support. 90 days, ... The countdown begins." So,
boy, I'm sure everyone's biting at their heels to get Steve Cutler.
Yeah.
In 90 days.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of speculation.
Change the business.
So there was a lot.
Watch out, Impact.
Yeah, well, his girlfriend, Deanna Praza, is down there. So I'm sure that's where he's probably going to land.
Yeah, most likely.
She'll probably put a good word in. So there was a lot of speculation. It's like, how did this happen? Because apparently Steve Cutler was well liked in the locker room. The day he got released last week, he was actually at the Performance Center in the big man's class. I guess he was helping out, helping out, like being I don't know what, when you help out in the ring. So he was
like an advisor.
Yeah, he was just like using his body like for the big guys to work on their moves and whatnot.
Oh yeah, like a sparring partner in boxing.
Exactly. So after they were done for the day, that's when he got released. So a lot of people were just like questioning, like, what is going on? How can he get released out? Everyone who apparently he had a good, like I said, people in the locker room really liked him. So rumors or, reports start coming. Allegedly, Vince McMahon had heat with him, or he was upset with him because I guess in the beginning of January, he tested positive for COVID. Vince McMahon was really upset, and because Vince the main thing he was upset about is because he promised guys like Roman Reigns and some other people in the locker room that it was going to be a safe working environment. So it's okay to come back, because we know Roman Reigns, Kevin Owens, a lot of other guys were gone for months during the beginning of the pandemic because of they were worried about the working conditions and didn't want to catch COVID. And so you see a guy like Steve Cutler who comes in, tests positive, Vince is going to be very upset about that. And so that's one thing people are alleging what happened.
Who are these people?
It was it Sean Ross Sapp or from Fightful? I have to look it up. I don't have the link here in front of me. I just copy and paste some of the news.
I just don't buy that at all, because he's underneath the totem pole. That's how low on the totem pole he is.
Yeah.
And for Vince McMahon to be mad at him for getting COVID sounds like it'd be one of those situations where they tell Vince that, hey, Steve Cutler's got COVID, and Vince would say, who?
Exactly. I'm sure
Like,
Vince
really?
barely knew him.
Like he has. It's not like Mike Bennett and Maria Kanellis. It's like because he had no Mike via Maria. You know, it's like this guy had nothing. I don't think they had a match on the main roster. They appeared, didn't they?
They did.
SmackDown, when they were still at the Performance Center, they had a couple matches there, tag matches.
Yeah.
But then they were off TV when Riker, made those comments on Twitter, and they were taken off TV for months, and then they got repackaged as the two henchmen for Baron Corbin.
If anything, I could see it where they had some plans for them again, right? Because typically when people are taken off of TV, unless you're getting a drug suspension, it's just that they don't have anything for you.
So
okay, and if you get sick again, or you get sick, and you're about to debut something, maybe Vince just said, I'm done with that. Like, we can't keep holding this back, because they don't, from what my understanding is, WWE doesn't, like, put the storyline in the back pocket. They erase it. So that, it's just kind of like, how many times are we going to use the eraser on these guys?
Yeah.
Like, that's my feelings towards it.
Well, I hear you saying. So the other thing, some more details came out. So Deonna Purrazzo, who's the current Impact Knockout champion, also Steve Cutler's girlfriend, she tweeted out a couple things. So the first tweet was, it's interesting because listen, and there's some thoughts about this that I have. So she tweeted, we attended a New Year's Eve party like dozens of other people. When Steve tested positive prior to SmackDown, he was sent home and immediately started quarantine. He was not at work while being positive. Stop misconstruing the truth for clickbait. And this was in response to, I think, a Wrestle Talk post. She had another tweet that said, okay, but other people still employed did too. Thinking face. She had a thinking face emoji. So I guess other people who still work for WWE, I guess, were at this party as well. So a little bit of hypocrisy might be there. That's what looks like she's calling out. And then another tweet was, my reasoning is I was at a party with people who I spent the entire last year with who are tested it every week. The worst case scenario happened. Once we were aware, we took every precaution to test and quarantine properly. Articles insinuating otherwise are false. So she's, I guess, a little upset, sounds like, that while Steve and her got COVID from allegedly this New Year's Eve party, other people, I guess, who still work for WWE were at this party as well, and they're still employed.
So let me get this straight. So someone who had a bad attitude when they were in WWE and got fired for having a bad attitude and a cocky attitude is now voicing in her opinion as to what happened when she wasn't in the room or there.
Yeah, I mean,
that's the gist of it, right?
Deonna Purrazzo, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, just wanted to get that clear.
Well, so it's interesting.
Send your hate tweets to Deonna Purrazzo.
No, so anyway, I see this, and like, I guess, trying to understand from her perspective, I guess she's maybe a little critical that
she's chasing a hug on behalf of both of them. That's what she's doing. That is to garner attention and sympathy for both of them because she wasn't there.
I guess she's upset that other people who've tested positive, who were at this party, are still working for WWE. And also, I mean, if you think about it, there are other people who have tested positive for COVID who are still working for WWE.
Yeah.
So but you brought up a good point. Like, maybe Steve Cutler was used as, I hate to say it, like a sacrificial lamb to set an example to remind people. Don't party.
No. I don't think that's it at all. He's not on their he's not in their radar. He's barely had a single cup of coffee on that roster. And
on SmackDown,
yeah, and he's the least experienced of the three former Forgotten Sons members. So it's just kind of, why keep him? Like, honestly, like they really didn't do that much in NXT.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right.
Like what's his tag team partner's name?
Murphy. Oh, no, not Murphy.
Blake. Wesley Blake.
Yeah.
He's a former NXT tag team champion with Murphy.
Yeah.
Like, and he's dependable and trustworthy. And Riker's been around since 2002 in TNA.
Yeah.
Like, so you've got this guy who's new to wrestling, and he's not that as experienced at all. His experience has been through NXT. So it's just kind of like, we don't really have anything for these guys. Which one of them can we keep and do something with? Let's go with the guy that has more in-ring experience.
Yeah,
that's my feelings towards it. Like, I don't follow these conspiracy theories that these people put up, even if it's the talent themselves. I think that's ridiculous.
Yeah, no,
Like
I'm just saying it would be interesting if more comes out about this as what you're
it's
saying.
It's not, though, because it's going to come from one of them or a dirt sheet writer. The only way you get more out of this is through Bruce Pritchard on a podcast.
Explaining.
Like there's, to me, it's just like the guy's dead weight. Like, seriously, I hate to sound blunt, but it's just like, what do you do with the guy? I don't know his personality at all. We never saw that on TV. So it's just kind of,
Well, yeah, no, so I'm saying it would be interesting if this has any legs to it, if we'll hear more, maybe exactly what you said. Maybe it's just the reality is they didn't have anything for him, so they're just going to let him go. Or could it be really was there a consequence for attending this New Year's Eve party and getting COVID? So set an example to other people on the roster, like, hey, we're trying to have a safe working environment. Don't go out there, catch COVID. When you're not working, go home and be safe. And so I hate to say, maybe he was like used as a sacrificial lamb. Deanna here sounds like she's just upset that he was fired while other people at this party are still working.
Deanna sounds like she's been spending too much time with Gail Kim.
Hey now.
So anyway, it's just gonna be interesting. Like, and the other thing too, what I was talking a little bit off the air was, in other sports, there are athletes who, depending on your value to the team, is how much you get away with. I think it was Tom Tolbert years ago made a good analogy. I think like what your value is to that team or how much you make for that team is how much you're allowed to get away with. So like the top.
Let me put to you this way: how many tickets did Steve Cutler sell?
Exactly. That's what I'm getting at, is like a guy like the champion, he can get away with a lot more than someone like Steve Cutler, who is not the big draw for WWE. So Steve Cutler, if he screws up, it's more easy to cut ties with him.
Well, and that's even if you believe their story about the New Year's Eve party. Because who was the one that was sick at that party? Like, and who else got sick at that party? Like, nothing else is listed.
Yeah. I mean, we don't know. I mean, Deanna is like making these alleged comments, but is not saying who else was it. I mean, obviously you can't really, because that's other people's personal medical history. So it's a really, I think, sensitive situation that she's kind of tiptoeing her toes in. I mean, just case in point, we were talking Casey, was her name Casey
Cannizzaro?
She is getting, in the last like 24 hours, she's getting a lot of heat from fans because she, on her Twitter, I know it was Twitter or somewhere, she posted a video.
I think it was her Instagram stories.
During like the pandemic, this video, it was like a really professionally shot video, and she was trying to give tips to everyone.
Yeah, like a PSA.
Yeah, how to get through this pandemic. And she's like, follow CDC guidelines, stay at home, only go out for essential rides. She's like, wear a mask. And then over the weekend, she's posting all these videos on Instagram of her out partying with no mask on.
With her friends.
So a lot of people are calling out her for being a hypocrite. She puts out this PSA of how to, make it through this pandemic.
And I don't know if I want to touch on this, but one of her friends was allegedly there the day on January 6th at the Capitol.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So anyway, just Casey, the WWE fans are calling out Casey for her hypocrisy of like being Miss PSA for the pandemic, yet she's out partying and not following her own rules that she put in her video. So
yeah,
it's very interesting. So anyway, like I'm with you, Richard. It's like this Steve Cutler situation is very interesting because either was he let go because they had nothing lined up for him, or was he let go as a punishment for having COVID? And Deanna's, adding more drama to this situation by calling out, well, it's not fair that he was let go while other people still working who are at this party. So who knows? It's all subjected to people's to their own opinions and whatnot. So who knows, we'll ever get the full truth, or maybe Bruce Pritchard will save it for a podcast one day. So, all right, last but not least, let's go ahead and just wrap through last week's episodes of WWE's Monday Night Raw, NXT, and SmackDown, and we'll kind of put it all together, because mostly what I like, it was the fallout from the Royal Rumble, but it mostly just involved Edge. I like how Edge was like the drifter who traveled to Monday Night Raw, NXT, and Friday Night SmackDown. Yep. He was like this thread, the connective tissue to all three shows this week. It was almost like, to me, he had like the vibe of like an old cowboy who would just show up to a different city and, you know, assess the situation and get involved. So I really enjoyed all three episodes in that aspect of what Edge brought to the table.
He was basically like a hunter stalking his prey.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and just talk about Monday Night Raw first and what happened with Edge on that episode. So Drew McIntyre comes out, starts cutting a promo. Edge comes out, and they start going back and forth. And, you know, Drew's just giving him a lot of praise and thanking him for being there when they got started years ago in wrestling and being like a mentor, all that good stuff. Edge called out Drew and said, dude, don't you get it? You're the WWE champion. I'm the guy that won the Royal Rumble. I could potentially be coming after you for that title.
Yeah.
Why are you being so nice to me? You should not be treating me so nice. You should be, just as ferocious to take me out. And he said, no matter who he picks for the championship, his goal is to walk out of WrestleMania as a champion. And so he was putting Drew McIntyre, trying to wake him up, get his senses together.
Or as Roddy Piper would say, give him a reality check.
Yeah. And then so Sheamus comes out and adds his 2 cents. And then Edge told Drew McIntyre, dude, with the WWE Championship, you have a big target on your back, and be careful. And so then Edge walks out of the ring. Sheamus and Drew are standing there. Drew walks towards the ropes. Sheamus starts walking behind him. Drew turns around and bam, Sheamus bro kicks him in the face and beats him up. And I was like, oh my God, no! Sheamus turned heel and beat up Drew. So, Richard, your thoughts on Sheamus turning heel on his best friend?
I mean, we saw it coming because it's one of those things that this is something I will be critical of WWE on, is they seemingly keep doing this thing of all of a sudden someone's best friend. And it's just like, I've never seen those two people together before. And it's just kind of like, I mean, however, with Sheamus and Drew McIntyre, I do know for a fact that they do go super far back because they both got picked up based off of some matches they had in the UK.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, they do have history, and I mean, they're both from, well, obviously, Drew.
But it's just who was it? On NXT, they were doing that with someone like every other month. It was their best friend. No, Candace was best friends with Tony Storm. Candace was best friends with so and so.
Candace and the girl who had the knee injury again.
Tegan Knox.
Tegan Knox. Yeah, she's like friends with everyone on that roster at one point.
Best friends.
Best friends. So it is kind of used a lot as a crutch to, I guess, get a story over. Is that, they're best friends. Listen, I'm with you. We all saw this coming, but I just felt it was kind of way too out of nowhere. There was no actual the build was not there. I don't know. It was just like, okay. I think Sheamus is a better heel than a babyface, and he's been kind of a tweener as of late. And I know him and Drew had the little backstage scruffle not too long ago, and then they kind of hugged it out after the commercials. And then, Keith Lee was questioning Sheamus that he was going to go after Drew. So, I mean, I guess there was Easter eggs over the last couple months, but it still felt just like out of nowhere, like, oh, here we are. Elimination Chamber's coming up in a couple weeks. We got to start building up something. So I just felt it was kind of forced, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm just a little hesitant. I was like, I don't know. I kind of wish there was a better or proper build to it at some point.
Yeah.
In some way for that.
Better angle.
Also, we saw Edge walking through the backstage area, and we saw him approach Damian Priest. And Damian Priest had a big night. So last week was his first episode on Monday Night Raw after debuting on the main roster for the Royal Rumble. We saw him talking to Bad Bunny. So they're both speaking Spanish backstage. I thought that was pretty cool. And then, so Bad Bunny appears on Miz TV, and it looks like Miz and Morrison want to collaborate with Bad Bunny, but he like turned them down. And then he comes out for their match for was it Miz versus Damian Priest, so his first match on the main roster, which was kind of cool. And then Bad Bunny gets involved, hits Morrison with the microphone, and so it looks like Damian Priest and Bad Bunny are kind of teaming up, and Miz and Morrison against them. So I don't know if this is going to lead to a WrestleMania match at some point.
Most likely.
I know WWE wants Bad Bunny to be part of WrestleMania in some capacity just because he has a huge online following, appeals to that younger demographic. So we'll wait and see. But so Damian Priest picks up the victory.
You should look at the WWE YouTube views for the Bad Bunny clips compared to the other views on YouTube for WWE for the same shows.
Yeah, then they've done way more.
That's why Bad Bunny's there.
Exactly. And if you look at
2 million for each video.
I think on Instagram he has like 30 million followers, and he only follows WWE on Instagram. So I think
there you go.
For WWE, this is a big investment for them. So after Damian Priest picks up his victory over The Miz, we see Edge walking backstage, and we see Damian Priest standing there, and he goes up to Damian Priest and congratulated him and welcomed him to Monday Night Raw and shook his hand, congratulated also his performance at the Royal Rumble. So a lot of people were comparing that same moment to when The Undertaker gave his blessings to John Cena after his match against Kurt Angle, his debut. So, Richard, do you think that's a fair comparison between the two? Damian Priest and Edge and Undertaker and John Cena?
No.
Really?
No. I mean, Undertaker holds so much weight. That's like Austin, Rock, Undertaker all are in like their own league. It's a good nod to have, but it's still like not like an icon like those guys.
Exactly. I'm with you because I was like, yeah, it's similar as far as a veteran endorsing like the new person. But John Cena at the time was in his mid-20s, and Undertaker at that point was already a Hall of Famer, probably his early 40s at that point. Edge and Damian Priest, they're actually pretty close in age. I think Damian Priest is 38, and Edge is mid-40s. So they're kind of closer in age. So it's just, while I see the comparisons, but it's still nowhere close. But nonetheless, I think it's still a very cool moment for Damian Priest to get the kudos from Edge. So hopefully by doing so, he kind of give a little bit of a rub, and maybe that will give a lot of the WWE Universe a reason to maybe start cheering for Damian Priest, especially if they didn't watch him on the regular on NXT. So no, good for him. And then last but not least for Edge, so he was walking through the backstage area because he was getting ready for his match with Randy Orton, which I don't know about you, but they suddenly just announced that. It's like Edge and Randy Orton are fighting tonight. And I was like, what? Like the third and final match of this rivalry from the last year, it's just going to be blown off on an episode of Raw, not like a pay-per-view or something? So
more eyes on Raw.
Yeah. I guess. I mean, honestly, I enjoyed this match. How about you? What'd you think of this match for the main event?
Very, very good.
Honestly, I think it was probably better than the WrestleMania match. I thought the pace was
it was quick.
Yeah, for a TV match, I thought it was quick pace. Randy was pounding Edge a lot. They went outside. So for how slow WrestleMania match was last year, I mean, the back was a Backlash with the world greatest wrestling match. Mm-hmm. That was the best one out of all these.
Yeah.
But this main event, I really did enjoy it. Now, unfortunately, a little bit of interference at the end. Alexa Bliss comes out, sits on the top rope corner, and does her thing with the black, what do you call it, like goo, slime, black liquid coming out of her mouth.
It's like that, like when Pee-wee gave his neighbor the gum and he spits out that black goo. You know? Kind of like that.
So Randy Orton was distracted, and Edge capitalized and picked up the victory. So I guess for right now, that's the blow off for their rivalry. So I don't know. I was kind of hoping it was going to be for a main event or for a pay-per-view or WrestleMania because of, when Edge got hurt and was out for like the last, 7 months, that we're going to get the payoff at a future pay-per-view. But things change, storylines change, and they're going to go different directions for WrestleMania. And obviously, Randy Orton's still going to be very much busy with The Fiend moving forward. So we'll see how it goes. And then jumping over to NXT this week. So like I said, the Edge story continues. So he appears on NXT. And that was the thing. They just announced it on social media. Oh, yeah, Edge is coming tonight. I was like, what? Oh, man. Like
I was stoked.
Yeah, I was stoked. But I was like, oh, they could have kind of promoted that better on Raw or something the night before. But he kind of...
Well, they didn't promote Randy Orton and Edge on Raw. I kind of like the Maybe this is just what we're supposed to expect, that Edge is back.
Yeah. So I thought it was cool. He showed up at NXT. I mean, he tweeted out, he's like, hey, I'm in Orlando to go see my wife working at NXT. Maybe I'll just show up on TV. So he did. And so it was really cool. So he
got a great promo.
Yeah, he cuts out for a promo, and he also confronts Finn Balor and Pete Dunne, who are going to be fighting each other for the championship takeover this weekend.
I felt like Edge gave more rubs to people on NXT than he did on Raw and SmackDown.
Yes.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
But no, Tommy, so Edge was standing there looking at Pete and Finn.
Yeah.
And you like the promo, right?
Yeah. I mean, just right off the bat, he said, a lot of times in WWE, we put the focus on the E. But here in NXT, the focus is on that second W, and that's fun. That's what I really enjoyed about that promo.
I really like this promo because Edge said he watched the show for years. He loved the passion from the roster.
And it motivated him.
The hunger from the NXT roster. And yeah, it really helped him find his passion to get back in his own wrestling career after being gone for 9 years. And then, the both guys are staring at him. He says by winning the Royal Rumble, he can challenge any champion in the company. And so got a lot of people questioning, like, ooh, what does this mean? He told Pete Dunne he sees a lot of himself in Pete.
Yeah.
For Finn, he says Finn's performing in a different zone, and he's just very special to watch. So Edge just pretty much put Finn and Pete on notice, and he's going to be watching their takeover match. And he did point out he's never had the NXT championship in his career, which the championship didn't really exist when he retired the first time, right? Yeah. So that's why he never had a chance to get it.
Right.
So he says, he pointed to Finn Balor in the championship. He says, who knows? Maybe I can go after that title for WrestleMania. So
that's intriguing, he said.
Yeah, Richard, what do you think? I mean, the odds of him actually going for the NXT championship probably slim to none, but it's still fun to think of the possibility.
Okay. So I really thoroughly enjoyed Edge on all 3 shows this week because I think they should do this every year with the Royal Rumble winner and have them kind of like campaign with each show as to which one you might want to see them on, because it was just kind of, I didn't see it. He went face to face with 5 people. And with all 5 of them, they're like, oh, that's kind of cool. Like, I wouldn't mind seeing that just seeing the visual of them face to face. Edge and Drew McIntyre, Edge and Finn Balor, Edge and Pete Dunne, Edge and Karrion Kross, Edge and Roman Reigns. It's just like all of those are like really interesting to me.
Yeah, it was really cool that he really put over NXT as far as what you said, Tommy. He likes that NXT focuses on the second W, wrestling, while the other 2 shows really focus more on the E, the entertainment side of things. And so, regardless if he actually will ever go for the NXT championship, what he said, though, I really did enjoy. And just put over NXT as a brand overall and what these 2 guys in the title scene are doing. So regardless, like I said, who knows if he'll ever make another appearance on NXT, but as far as what he said, I think has a lot of weight to it, and I think a lot of fans will use that to really defend NXT and why it's such a great show. So I really enjoyed that. It would be cool maybe if he did have a match at NXT one day. I don't know, but I think they're really busy with other people. I think Edge has a bigger championships to go after. But one thing, as you just touched on, Richard, it was very cool. So Edge was leaving the Capitol Wrestling Center, and Karrion Kross comes up and confronts him outside. They have a little stare down, and I don't know, man. Like, I was like, this could be potentially cool. I mean, Edge
potentially. Potentially. It would be awesome.
Yeah. So, I mean, Edge has experience, with Randy Orton, and Karrion Kross gets a lot of comparisons to Randy Orton as far as his style. So, who knows? I mean, this could be like an Easter egg for a year from now or something. Like, who knows the timeline? I mean, I see online people are predicting maybe Karrion Kross can win the Royal Rumble next year, and maybe he can go on the WrestleMania. That's like an early bet already for next year from now. But anyway, I'm just saying for Edge,
God.
It'd be cool at some point. Maybe Karrion Kross and Edge cross paths at some point. I know Edge, his big thing with this.
I want to see Karrion Kross retire Edge.
Ooh, that would be interesting. I know for Edge, like at this point in his career, he really wants to have like these dream matches that he didn't think he would ever have before. So
get those out of the way and then get Cross in there.
And the Cross can be the last one.
Yeah.
So that'd be cool. I'm all for that.
And then Cross can retire Randy. We'll just go down the list.
Yeah, exactly. Also, one little thing I want to touch on. There was a rumor, I guess, for WrestleMania this year. It's going to be 2 nights, as I said. We've talked about this many times. So the rumor is they want Finn Balor to defend the NXT Championship at WrestleMania as well. Well, I guess I should say whoever NXT champion is, because we don't know. Finn could maybe lose the title before then. So with that being said, are you, Richard, for the idea of the NXT Championship being defended on one of the nights at WrestleMania this year?
Sure. I don't care.
I'm all for it because you think about it.
Well, it depends on the match. Depends on the match. I wouldn't mind. I mean, we're assuming Finn Balor is going into WrestleMania.
Yeah.
I mean, if it was Cross, I'd be into it. Because Cross is made for that WrestleMania entrance.
Yeah, that entrance, see it on a big stage, that'd be great.
Whew.
Even from a bunch of cardboard cutouts. So, no, but I'll be for that. I think it'd be cool because last year, okay, so takeovers used to be the same weekend of like all the big 4 pay-per-views for WrestleMania, or excuse me, for WWE. Now, 2020, they kind of separate themselves and do it on their own separate weekends, which is cool. I mean, to kind of really make themselves stand on their own as their own brand. But I do miss when they're the same weekend of like Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Money in the Bank, Survivor Series, because it makes it like for an action-packed weekend of Saturday and Sunday, like all this wrestling in one weekend makes a lot of fun. But last year, WrestleMania, when it was 2 nights, you know, they had, remember, Rhea defend the NXT Women's Championship against Charlotte one night. So that was cool. NXT, even though they didn't have a takeover that weekend, they did have a presence at WrestleMania. So maybe they're going to try to do the same thing this year, but on the men's side of things. So I mean, I'm all for that. I don't know. I would love to see maybe Finn Balor defend the NXT Championship against Walter, the NXT UK champion. That could be a cool powerhouse all-star match. That match was supposed to happen before, was it Finn got hurt?
Yeah.
So maybe, yeah, we can have it over on the WrestleMania stage. I'll be all for that, champion versus champion of the NXT brand.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I'm all for that, just like I said, because since TakeOver doesn't happen WrestleMania weekend now, it'd still be cool to have NXT have some presence there on WrestleMania. So all for that. All right, moving on over to Friday Night SmackDown. So we see Roman Reigns come out. He's pretty much just pissed off at Edge because Edge went to Raw first. He went to NXT first. And Roman Reigns, who's the head of the table, the face of WWE, he is pissed that Edge did not come directly to SmackDown first and just challenge him right out of the gate. He felt a little disrespected that he went to all these other shows first. And then he told Paul Heyman to go look, cut his music, hit his music, have Edge come down here now and call him out. So what do you think about this opening segment, Richard, of just Roman Reigns kind of pissed off at Edge here?
I was digging it quite a bit. I really liked how they handled, is it Jey Uso?
Yeah, Jey Uso.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I get them so confused.
I don't blame
They
you.
are identical.
Yeah.
I liked how he was pacing. He was just ready to jump all over Edge. And when Paul told him to get out, he just kind of dropped out and was just like, stormed out of there. But I like that Roman raised his voice. Like he wasn't Mr. Calm, Cool, and Collective. He was like
shouting.
Like pissed. Yeah. It was good.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is we're starting to see a little bit different side of Roman as this heel persona, but also what I like about him calling him out was it gives motivation for Roman Reigns because he's like, I'm the main event. I'm the number one guy in this company. How dare Edge not come directly to me first? So I really enjoyed that Roman Reigns has motivation to be pissed off at Edge. Now, granted, Edge and him didn't have much interaction, so jumping ahead to the end of the show. So after a great Intercontinental Triple Threat match between Big E, Apollo, and Sami Zayn.
Really good match.
That was a really good match, and I mean, I can see all them keeping that feud going for a little bit longer.
Oh, yeah.
That was the best Apollo Crews match I think I've seen.
Exactly. But at the same time, I want to see him still continue working with Roman Reigns. I don't want that to end. Like, we saw him backstage a few weeks ago. I hope they keep that storyline going. I hope Roman Reigns, like, takes him under his wing and kind of grooms him to be, like, a second in command after Jey Uso or something, you know, part of his posse, where you want to call his faction.
Yeah.
Edge comes out to cut a promo, and we think maybe he's going to make a decision. But Roman Reigns comes out and gets in his face and told him to acknowledge him, like, respect. So, big thing, Roman Reigns, his character is like, he's the number one person in the company. He wants respect from people. He wants people to acknowledge him as the top dog. So Edge, we weren't sure how he was going to respond, but then all of a sudden Kevin Owens comes out of nowhere and stuns Roman Reigns and into the show. And so Edge did not give an answer. Kevin Owens is back. So I don't know, man, Richard, like I'm kind of confused. So I get it. Edge probably going to stretch. They're going to stretch this out until he makes an official decision. We still got 2 months till WrestleMania, so
let him milk it.
Yeah, he's going to milk it, and I wouldn't be surprised if he appears on all the shows multiple times to really just kind of.
And I would not have a problem with that.
Yeah, figure it out. But at the same time, Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns again. It's like, Kevin, you've lost 3 times to Roman Reigns in the last month.
Well, and if he's still going for him, then you got to assume he's going to be the one to beat him.
Yeah, so I don't know.
But if he's going to beat him like they've done Last Man Standing, Ladder, and what? Singles match, just a regular singles match? So what?
Roman and Kevin had the TLC match. They had the steel cage match on Christmas.
Yeah.
And then Last Man Standing at Royal Rumble. So they've had 3 matches in the last 5 weeks.
So we could probably assume that at WrestleMania we're going to get KO and Roman in a Hell in a Cell.
It'd be cool.
Likely,
I mean, no, it'd be cool if they do a Hell in a Cell, but I wonder if Vince and them are like, no, Hell in a Cell is that one dedicated October pay-per-view now.
What about Undertaker and Shane at WrestleMania?
Was that one? Was that a Hell in a Cell, that one?
Were you there in Texas?
No, I wasn't there for that one.
Oh, okay, yeah. That was a Hell in a Cell.
Okay.
Shane jumped off the cage.
Oh, that's right.
Remember?
It was before they had the pay-per-view, I believe, on a regular basis. So, no, what I guess for me... Okay, how about this? Now, let's look at the week in review now. Out of the 3 people he confronted, Drew, WWE Champion, Finn, NXT Champion, Roman, Universal Champion. Out of those 3, which one do you think makes sense for Edge to challenge?
I want to say Drew, because I feel like Roman has Kevin. Who does Drew really have? Because like Randy's looks like he's going with the Fiend and whatever that new incarnation of the Fiend is.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing Sheamus is going to be one of the next 2 pay-per-views, if not both of the next pay-per-views.
I know.
So,
there's still so much time to WrestleMania. They still got Elimination Chamber in a couple weeks. They got Fastlane in the March. So there's still a lot of time to build for Drew McIntyre.
Yeah.
They're all matches I want to see, but at the same time, I gotta think that he's going to be on Raw, because Raw 1 needs it. And there's a lot of people I could see that Edge would want to have matches with, like AJ.
Yeah. Man.
Yeah.
It's so tough. How about Tommy? Do you have any particular favorite out of those 3 champions?
I think it's Drew McIntyre because the thing with McIntyre had with Goldberg, you know, how he didn't respect the legends or whatever like that. And you could probably fit that storyline perfectly with Edge. I think Edge would buy into that.
Edge could spin it around and be like, hey, I saw what you did with Goldberg, but you won't do the same to me.
So that's how I feel.
For me, I think I still want to see him versus Roman. I think, I think out of the 3 promos, the SmackDown stuff was probably the weakest this week as far as motivation. Mm-hmm. But I think as far as dynamic and building that up, as far as Roman and his character and Edge, I think that would be more compelling emotionally for me.
Yeah.
Now, is Roman going to really drop the title at WrestleMania? I mean, he did win it at not SummerSlam. The week after on Payback. A week later. Yeah. So he won it end of August. So if he loses it at WrestleMania, that's almost an 8-month title reign.
Yeah. I think
I don't know. I still me personally, I think Roman Reigns will be the better opponent out of those 3, but I don't know, man. We'll have to wait and see how this goes. I mean, there's still a lot of time, and like I said, I think the Edge is really going to stretch it out. But I did like seeing him appear on all 3 shows. It was made for very fun, and I like he's Royal Rumble champion or winner. He can go around just tease the idea of I'll challenge you, or maybe I'll challenge you. So good stuff. One last thing. So Bianca Belair came out for an interview, and same situation. Who's she going to challenge for after winning the Women's Royal Rumble? Sasha Banks come out. Carmella came out. So they're both kind of, Carmella was telling, Bianca, you shouldn't go after Sasha. You're going to lose, or put it in her head. So I don't know. Do you think Bianca's going to go after Sasha, or do you see her go over to Raw and maybe challenging Asuka?
See, this one's tougher.
Really?
Because of experience level. With Edge would be going against any 3 competitors of a high level of experience, where Bianca is the least experienced of the champions.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, part of me wonders if I feel like Io Shirai's coming up soon.
Yeah.
Ooh, what if Bianca goes back to NXT and be like, I never won this title.
I don't think they are, though, with the rocket they've attached to her. But I also don't. You kind of almost have to think it's going to be Fox or Raw or SmackDown, sorry, because they've been hyping her so much.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I could see them wanting to do Io Shirai and Sasha Banks at WrestleMania.
Wow.
So,
I mean,
do you have Asuka be the one? Because, or does it turn to a multi-person match where maybe somehow Charlotte becomes the champion and Asuka gets a rematch, but Bianca decides that she's going to throw herself in the match as well. So now you have a 3-way.
Yeah,
that could work.
So many possibilities. I mean, I'm really intrigued seeing Sasha versus Bianca Belair, just as far as their athleticism going at it. That could be really fun. But Bianca, versus Asuka could be a lot of fun. I'm just worried that
my money's Bianca and Charlotte. I think would be the best.
Interesting.
Match.
Okay, so you're saying at some point over the next couple months, Asuka's probably going to drop the title to Charlotte, and then Bianca can go after Charlotte.
That's what I want to see, and it's not because I don't like Asuka, just because I think that Bianca and Charlotte, being the crazy athletes that they both are, not wrestlers but athletes, like that's Rock and Austin right there.
Yeah. Man, so many possibilities. So, I mean, we got plenty of time to see how these storylines play out. So, should be a lot of fun, man. We are on the road to WrestleMania. Overall, I did enjoy, like I said, Edge just appearing all 3 shows. And I hope he does that on a more regular basis. I think as an old veteran, he can just drift from show to show, appear and talk to different people. He can be kind of like a teacher, mentor for some of these guys, just appearing here and there. So that's a lot of fun. So,
and also I want to mention, I'm really digging Tommaso Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher as a tag team right now in NXT.
Yes.
That's been a lot of fun too. So, I'm sure we'll have a lot to talk about because they have their matchup this week, and who knows, knock on wood, maybe they'll be in the finals at TakeOver for the Dusty Cup Classic. So a lot of good stuff, man. Looking forward to this week in wrestling as well. And we'll have another fun episode next weekend recapping TakeOver and all the other busy stuff going on this week in WWE. All right, let's start wrapping things up. Richard, where can the Kliqsters find you online?
You can find me at Pro Wrestling 101 on Instagram, and send your hate tweets over to Baby Huey83 on Twitter.
And what about Deanna Purrazzo as well?
Oh, yeah. And send your hate tweets to Baby Huey83 and Deanna Purrazzo on Twitter.
Damn you. Tom, where can Kliqsters
when
find
you send your hate tweets to Deanna Purrazzo, let her know that Baby Huey sent you.
Don't say that. Damn you.
Well, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at IronFist1982.
I'm Baby Huey. Follow me on Facebook at Baby Huey Official, Twitter and Instagram at Baby Huey83. Even though Richard proudly
he's giving you the push.
What's the word? Advertised that a second ago, so you already know that. So I'm getting double double publicity here. So, yeah, as always, subscribe to In The Kliq, give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts, leave a comment as well. That helps out with the algorithm. So subscribe, follow us on social media, get the merch over at Teespring, click the link in our bio on social media to get those links as well. And on that note, let's go home, and that's the bottom line because Huey said so.